Hello, welcome to Live's channel. Today we will learn about the dramatic culmination of Sophia Choi's web of lies and the shocking consequences that ripple through Salem, affecting everyone from young mothers to powerful attorneys. The story reaches its emotional peak as multiple lives are forever changed by one young woman's desperate choices and a grandmother's unexpected redemption. Sophia's descent into legal trouble. Sophia Choi finds herself facing the full weight of the law as her carefully constructed lies finally collapse around her. The pregnant teenager, who spent months manipulating everyone around her to keep her secrets buried, discovers that her actions have crossed the line from simple deception into serious criminal territory. The charges against Sophia are extensive and devastating, stemming from her desperate attempt to keep Tate Black in her life and hide the truth about her baby's paternity. Law enforcement officials waste no time in building their case against her, documenting every instance of fraud, manipulation, and endangerment that Sophia committed during her months-long campaign of deceit. The legal proceedings move swiftly once Sophia's crimes are fully exposed to authorities. District attorney officials present a damning case that includes evidence of Sophia spiking Holly Jonas's drink with alcohol, a felony that could have resulted in serious harm or even death. The courtroom atmosphere is tense as prosecutors lay out the full extent of Sophia's deceptions, including falsifying documents related to her pregnancy and attempting to manipulate adoption proceedings through fraudulent means. Sophia's defense attorney struggles to find mitigating circumstances, but the evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. The judge, after hearing testimony from multiple victims whose lives were upended by Sophia's schemes, shows little sympathy for the young woman who showed no remorse until facing imprisonment. When the sentence is finally handed down, Sophia breaks down completely, realizing that her selfish choices have cost her everything she hoped to achieve. The jail cell doors close behind her with a finality that echoes through the courthouse, and Sophia must now face the reality that her baby will grow up without her during these critical early months or even years. The other inmates view her with a mixture of curiosity and disdain as word spreads about why this privileged teenager ended up behind bars. Sophia's days are now filled with the harsh realities of incarceration rather than the carefree senior year she once imagined, and every moment serves as a painful reminder of how far she fell from grace. Melinda Trask's professional downfall. Melinda Trask watches her carefully rebuilt career crumble for a second time as her involvement in Sophia's schemes comes to light. The attorney, who had only recently regained her footing after previous scandals, finds herself implicated in the web of lies surrounding Sophia's baby. Melinda's decision to help Sophia create a false narrative about the birth proved to be the final straw for officials who were already questioning her judgment and ethical standards. The disbarment proceedings move forward with brutal efficiency, as colleagues and former allies distance themselves from the disgraced attorney who seemed unable to learn from past mistakes. The loss of her position represents more than just a professional setback for Melinda, who had wrapped so much of her identity in her career achievements. She finds herself stripped of the power and prestige that defined her existence for decades, forced to confront who she is without the title and authority she wielded for so long. Former colleagues who once sought her counsel now avoid her calls, and the legal community that once respected her now views her as a cautionary tale about ethical lapses. Melinda's apartment becomes a prison of isolation as she processes the magnitude of her fall from grace, wondering how she allowed herself to become entangled in schemes that violated everything she once stood for. The financial implications of losing her position compound Melinda's emotional devastation, as legal bills mount and income streams dry up overnight. She faces the terrifying prospect of not only professional ruin but potential criminal charges for her role in facilitating Sophia's deceptions. The woman who once prosecuted others for similar crimes now finds herself on the opposite side of the legal system, vulnerable and exposed in ways she never imagined possible. Melinda's pride, which sustained her through previous scandals, now seems like a liability as she struggles to accept help or admit the full extent of her mistakes. Amy Choi's profound transformation. Amy Choi experiences a seismic shift in perspective as she watches her daughter being led away in handcuffs, the reality of her own failures as a mother crashing down upon her with devastating force. The woman who spent months trying to control every aspect of Sophia's pregnancy and future suddenly realizes that her rigid expectations and relentless pressure pushed her daughter toward increasingly desperate measures. Amy's carefully maintained facade of the perfect family shatters completely, revealing the emotional wreckage beneath years of prioritizing reputation over genuine connection and understanding. The transformation that overtakes Amy is profound and unexpected, as she begins to truly examine her role in creating the circumstances that led to Sophia's downfall. She recognizes with painful clarity that her own selfishness and obsession with appearances deprived Sophia of the unconditional support and guidance she desperately needed during the most challenging period of her young life. Amy's nights are now filled with replaying conversations where she demanded compliance instead of offering compassion, where she issued ultimatums instead of listening to her daughter's fears and concerns. The guilt threatens to overwhelm her at times, but Amy channels these feelings into a determination to break the cycle of conditional love and rigid expectations that defined her parenting approach. Amy's decision to seek custody of her grandchild represents the ultimate expression of this newfound self-awareness and commitment to making amends for past failures. She realizes that the baby, innocent and blameless in this entire situation, deserves a stable, loving home with family rather than being placed with strangers. Amy begins the complex legal process of becoming the child's guardian, prepared to face scrutiny and judgment from those who remember her previous behavior. This choice requires her to confront her own prejudices and limitations, as she commits to raising this child with the acceptance and flexibility she failed to show Sophia. The grandmother who once viewed the pregnancy as a shameful burden now sees her grandchild as a precious opportunity for redemption and second chances. Amy attends parenting classes designed for grandparents raising grandchildren, determined to approach this responsibility with humility and openness to new perspectives. She reaches out to support groups and counselors, recognizing that she needs help and guidance to break old patterns and create a healthier environment for her grandchild. Amy's friends and family watch this transformation with a mixture of skepticism and hope, wondering if this change will prove lasting or merely temporary. Leo Stark's shocking reaction. Leo Stark finds himself completely blindsided by Amy's decision to pursue custody of the baby he and Javi had grown to love as their own. The couple had opened their hearts to this child, imagining a future as parents and building their entire lives around this unexpected blessing. Leo's characteristic humor and flippancy abandon him completely as he processes the reality that the baby they've been caring for will be taken from their home. The pain of this loss cuts deeper than anything Leo has experienced in his tumultuous life, as he realizes that love and good intentions aren't always enough to create the family he desperately wanted. The legal system's decision to favor biological family over foster parents strikes Leo as profoundly unjust, especially given Amy's role in creating the circumstances that led to Sophia's breakdown. He struggles with intense anger toward Amy, viewing her custody petition as yet another manifestation of the selfishness that damaged Sophia in the first place. Leo's relationship with Javi is tested by this crisis, as they navigate grief and disappointment while trying to support each other through the impending loss. Friends try to offer comfort, but Leo finds their platitudes hollow and meaningless in the face of such devastating heartbreak. Despite his pain, Leo eventually recognizes something genuine in Amy's transformation that gives him hope for the baby's future. He sees a woman truly grappling with her mistakes and determined to do better, rather than simply repositioning herself for social advantage. Leo's generous spirit, buried under layers of hurt and anger, slowly emerges as he realizes that supporting Amy's custody might be the best way to ensure the child's well-being and maintain some connection to the baby they love. This realization doesn't make the loss any easier, but it provides Leo with a sense of purpose and meaning in the midst of his grief. The adoption process and legal complexities. The legal proceedings surrounding the baby's custody become increasingly complex as multiple parties express interest in providing a home for Sophia's child. Johnny D. Mara and Chanel Dupree, who had been pursuing adoption when they first learned about the baby, find themselves caught in the middle of this family drama. The young couple must decide whether to continue fighting for custody or step aside to allow Amy to take responsibility for her grandchild. Their attorney explains the various factors courts consider in custody disputes, including biological relationships, stability, and the child's best interests. Amy's petition faces scrutiny from social workers and family court officials who question whether her transformation is genuine or merely strategic. She must undergo extensive interviews, home studies, and psychological evaluations designed to assess her fitness as a guardian. The process is humbling and often painful for Amy, who finds herself answering difficult questions about her past parenting choices and current motivations. She provides references, financial documentation, and detailed plans for the child's care, demonstrating her commitment through actions rather than empty promises. Tate Black, as the baby's biological father, also has rights that must be considered in any custody arrangement. The young man finds himself thrust into adult responsibilities and legal proceedings that he never anticipated when he first became intimate with Sophia. Tate's own parents, Brady Black and Teresa Donovan, offer guidance and support as their son navigates the complexities of paternal rights and responsibilities. The legal team working on the case must balance the interests of multiple parties while prioritizing the child's need for stability and permanence. The emotional impact on Salem. The entire community reels from the revelations about Sophia's crimes and the subsequent fallout affecting so many lives. Holly Jonas, who nearly died because of Sophia's actions, struggles with complex emotions about her former friend's imprisonment. Part of her feels vindicated that Sophia finally faced consequences, while another part mourns the loss of what she thought was a genuine friendship. Holly's parents support her through this emotional processing, helping her understand that feeling conflicted about Sophia's fate is natural and valid. Tate Black carries enormous guilt about his role in this entire situation, wondering if different choices on his part could have prevented Sophia's downward spiral. His relationship with Holly is tested by the constant reminders of his connection to Sophia and the baby that resulted from their brief encounter. Tate attends therapy sessions to work through his feelings and develop healthier coping mechanisms for dealing with the ongoing legal and emotional complications. His parents encourage him to focus on his own education and future rather than allowing guilt to derail his life trajectory. Aaron Green, who showed Sophia kindness during her pregnancy, feels betrayed by the extent of her lies and manipulations. He questions his own judgment and ability to read people accurately, wondering what other signs he might have missed. Aaron's brother Mark offers perspective from his own experiences with the criminal justice system, helping Aaron understand that Sophia's choices were her own and not a reflection of those who tried to help her. The Green family rallies around Aaron, ensuring he doesn't blame himself for failing to prevent Sophia's crimes. Baby Tesoro's future. The child at the center of this entire drama, known as Tesoro during his time in foster care, remains blissfully unaware of the legal battles and emotional turmoil surrounding his custody. The baby thrives under the temporary care of various guardians, displaying the resilience that will serve him well throughout his complicated childhood. Medical professionals and developmental specialists monitor his progress closely, ensuring that the instability of his early weeks doesn't cause lasting harm. The baby's innocent smiles and coos provide brief moments of joy and hope amid the darkness of legal proceedings and criminal consequences. Amy prepares her home for the baby's arrival with meticulous care, transforming a guest room into a nursery that reflects her commitment to providing a loving environment. She researches the latest information about infant care and child development, determined to approach grandparent guardianship with knowledge and preparation. Amy's transformation extends to her entire lifestyle, as she adjusts her work schedule and social commitments to prioritize the baby's needs above all other considerations. Friends who witnessed her previous rigidity and judgment noticed the softness and flexibility emerging in Amy's approach to this new responsibility. The court's final decision to place the baby with Amy comes after weeks of deliberation and careful consideration of all available options. Judge officials cite the importance of maintaining biological family connections when possible, while also noting Amy's demonstrated commitment to personal growth and changed behavior. Leo and Javi are granted visitation rights, allowing them to maintain a relationship with the child they briefly called their own. This arrangement, while not perfect, provides the baby with multiple sources of love and support as he grows up with the complicated truth of his origins. Lessons and redemption. The entire ordeal serves as a powerful reminder that choices have consequences, and that lies eventually crumble under the weight of truth. Sophia's imprisonment becomes a cautionary tale for other young people in Salem who might be tempted to take shortcuts or deceive others to achieve their goals. Youth counselors and educators use Sophia's story in discussions about honesty, responsibility, and the importance of seeking help when facing difficult situations. The hope is that future generations will learn from Sophia's mistakes and make better choices when confronted with unplanned pregnancies or other life-altering challenges. Amy's transformation demonstrates that it's never too late to change destructive patterns and become a better person. Her willingness to confront her own failures and take responsibility for contributing to Sophia's crisis inspires others in Salem who struggle with similar issues of control and perfectionism. Mental health professionals point to Amy's journey as an example of genuine growth rather than performative change, noting the depth of self-examination required to achieve such a profound shift. Amy herself becomes an advocate for parents dealing with the challenges of raising children in an increasingly complex world. Melinda's loss of her career forces her to finally address the underlying issues that led to her repeated ethical lapses. Without the distraction of work and professional status, Melinda must confront the emptiness at her core and begin the difficult work of building an identity based on something more substantial than titles and achievements. Her journey toward redemption will be longer and more difficult than Amy's, but the potential for growth exists if she can muster the courage to truly change. Melinda's friends encourage her to seek therapy and consider career options that might provide fulfillment without the ethical temptations of legal practice. The heartwarming resolution. Despite the pain and consequences that affected so many lives, the story ultimately concludes with hope and the promise of new beginnings. Amy's commitment to raising her grandchild with love and flexibility offers the baby a stable foundation that was missing in Sophia's own upbringing. The grandmother attends regular counseling sessions to ensure she maintains healthy boundaries and approaches parenting with wisdom rather than rigid control. Amy also facilitates regular communication between Sophia and the baby, believing that maintaining this connection serves everyone's best interests when done appropriately. Leo and Javi, though heartbroken by the loss of the baby they hope to adopt, find meaning in their continued involvement in the child's life. They serve as honorary uncles, providing additional love and support that enriches the baby's world. The couple eventually begins exploring other options for building their family, whether through adoption or surrogacy, determined that this setback won't prevent them from achieving their dream of parenthood. Their relationship emerges stronger from this crisis, having weathered profound loss together and discovered the depths of their commitment to each other. Sophia, despite her incarceration, begins the difficult work of understanding why she made the choices that led to her imprisonment. She participates in programs designed for young mothers in the criminal justice system, learning about child development, healthy relationships, and emotional regulation. Sophia's letters to her son, saved by Amy for when he's old enough to understand, show a young woman slowly taking responsibility for her actions and expressing genuine remorse. The hope is that when Sophia eventually completes her sentence, she will have developed the maturity and wisdom needed to be a positive presence in her child's life. The baby, surrounded by imperfect people doing their best to provide love and stability, represents the possibility of breaking destructive cycles and creating healthier patterns for future generations. His innocent presence reminds everyone involved that life continues even after terrible mistakes, and that redemption is possible for those willing to do the hard work of genuine change. Salem's residents watched this family navigate their complicated dynamics with a mixture of skepticism and hope, wondering if the lessons learned will prove lasting. The story's heartwarming conclusion lies not in the absence of pain or consequences, but in the willingness of flawed individuals to grow, forgive, and prioritize a child's well-being above their own pride and preferences.